This silly thing, as you could tell from the name of the video, is Beast Wars Clawjaw. It is a basics class, I believe, and it's a figure I've been wanting to get my hands on for quite some time, and finally did earlier this year, and it is so weird, but I love it. But it's weird, and there's a little bit that it does that kind of is annoying, which I'll get into when we get to the robot mode, but yeah, it's a giant squid. It's a transformer that turns into a giant squid. I love that. It is so ridiculous. And it looks really good. The tentacles being orange mostly, and then red and purple just for the big ones. It's a little bit, I don't know, but yeah, I guess it makes sense that if you are going to have any tentacles be a different color than the rest of them, make it the two that are like the longer ones. Because traditionally, squid have like 8 roughly similarly sized tentacles and then 2 really long ones with the kind of paddle-shaped ends, which I believe are used as like the main grasping, like that's what they reach out to grasp prey with, and then the other tentacles are more for when it gets closer. Obviously, this is not what a squid really looks like. It's not angled like this. It's more like a straight tube, and the eyes are actually along the sides, not the front. But I think this is kind of for the sake of it being a Transformers toy and not biologically accurate. So it's fine. It is kind of a shame that it can stand in this mode, kind of, but like it's a little bit awkward looking and it's kind of angled forward. But it is what it is. It's okay. But yeah, it's the red and orange primarily color scheme, I think works okay. The purple spots, I think, is maybe there to indicate either bioluminescence or possibly a little bit of a camouflage thing. I don't know, but it works. The purple is a little bit close in tone to the red, so when you get these spots, they don't show up as well as like the bigger patches. I feel like it may have been better to use the orange with the red to kind of incorporate that together and make this feel like it doesn't stand out as much among the rest of the squid, but it is what it is. And the eyes also, I don't know why they gave him narrow pupils. They're, as far as I know, squids just have like big round ones. But again, stylized. It's supposed to be, transforming monster thing. Around back, it is a little bit iffy. This piece here, I think, is supposed to make it kind of look like the cone shape, but it kind of sticks out weirdly. And you can bring the legs back a bit to try and close it up more, but like the more you bring back the legs, then the more this opens up and doesn't look quite right. So yeah, it would be nice if this could flip back further, but then if it did that, the gimmick wouldn't work. And the gimmick is, if we put these arms out of the way, so you can see there's this piece here that's on a little bit of a slider that's spring-loaded, so if you push it in and let go, it springs back out. And what that does is when you push it forward, the little beak opens and closes. And once again, because I actually know what squids are like, this is not what a squid beak looks like. It does not have mandibles, and the beak is actually aligned vertically, not horizontally. It's more like a parrot beak. So that is also incorrect. But again, I'm not trying to knock the toy. I'm just pointing out that it's incorrect. But yeah, for being a little giant squid thing, this is cute. I think it's a fun idea. I kind of wish they'd done more playful stuff with more animals in Beast Wars over the years. I know they did do some, and there were some that I kind of wish I had gotten a hold of, but this guy's a real standout to me because he's a freaking giant squid. That's so weird. Anyway, since he's a basic, he's not super large. Push him back a little bit. If you're familiar with Beast Wars basics, then you probably know what to expect. He's a bit smaller than a deluxe. There is Artfire and River Storm. Bring in Burnout, Spamus, and readjust the camera so everything's actually in frame. And yeah, he's the basic. Being a basic, the Squid is roughly the same overall size silhouette-wise as Burnout. Burnout is like compacted in, whereas Clawjaw is more like the mass is up here and the rest is just spindly tentacles. So I'd say he's not as big as a deluxe. I don't think that'd be quite right. And one more comparison before we move on. There is Clawjaw with, there we go, with the duck tank. Now before we turn this Squid into a very Squid-like robot, real quick, if you like this video or any of the other videos I've done and you want to support the channel, possibly monetarily, I do have a Patreon. That is a single $1 a month tier. That's all I've got. That gets you early access to new videos and it supports the channel. But if you want to support the channel in other ways that doesn't require money, there's a link down in the description that will take you to the server for a site called ShowZ. It is an overseas retailer based in, pretty sure, China, and I've done a lot of buying with them over the years, and they're great. Really affordable prices, usually free shipping to the US. They primarily deal in third-party and KO stuff, but it's a great place for a lot of stuff, especially if you're looking for third-party stuff and you don't want to pay quite as much as you pay at other US-based retailers. So if you use that link to go to the Discord and join the server, it earns me a little bit of store credit that I can use to buy figures that can go towards other stuff that I can make videos on in the future. But with all of that said, let's turn Clawjaw into, basically we're just turning him upside down. So going to straighten out the main tentacles. Going to take the, come around here. I want to fold this flap back and fold this section up and then rotate it around 180 degrees. And now the flap can come back down. Split the squid cone and rotate the halves and then push up the ends to make feet. Fold down these tentacles, and that kind of covers the eyes. And then these tentacles back here, flare back, and the head pops up. And there we have Clawjaw in his robot mode, and he is back heavy because of the way all of this is set up. So you kind of need to sweep the tentacles forward to act as a kind of like shoulder pads, and that will help him stand. Because if you angle him back, he's gonna topple backwards. You can kind of angle him back slightly, and he'll be okay if you have him situated right. But yeah, that's a bit unfortunate. But here is Clawjaw's robot mode, and he looks like a robot made out of a squid. I really wish that these could do something else. Like if they could hinge around and then down to make like a cape or something like that, that would be really cool. I really wish, I feel like they could have done that too. If they'd done like a ball socket here instead of this swing joint, then you wouldn't have the screws. You have like a ball socket here with like a cut, so like you could swivel it back around and then down to make that cape shape. I just think that would be really cool. I really wish they did that, but they didn't. But what we're left with is still a pretty cool looking robot. Oh, and also he's got his rub sign, I guess. It's pretty warm in here, so it's not showing up quite right, but he is a maximal. And yeah. That is Clawjaw's robot mode, and I think he's cool. Definitely more personality in the squid, but for what he is, this is neat. The gimmick still works if you don't have to push it up, but it's just easier for me to do that, and you can still do the thing so his chest can grab you. And I'm sure this is why they did the way they did. I guess now that I'm looking at it, when you push that out, this bit in here kind of looks like a regular squid beak, so maybe he's like got mandibles that pull things towards the squid beak. I don't know. But I like his design. I think it's neat. I like that he keeps the tentacle aesthetic, though he ends up with, I guess, too many limbs now. Because, well, I guess technically he still has 10 arms, but if you count the legs as limbs, then that means he has 12 limbs, which is definitely too many for a squid. But I don't really know how they could have dealt with that otherwise, other than like making 2 of the tentacles disappear in favor of the legs, which it's a very nitpicky thing, I know. Now, the color distribution here I think is interesting because before, all of the orange was primarily at the bottom of the squid, with the exception of these. But when he turns into a robot, all of the red is now more towards the outside and the bottom with like the arms and the legs, and then the orange is primarily all around like the center and coming out for these massive tentacle shoulder pads. So yeah, it's interesting how it redistributes the colors. And he's just a neat little guy. One thing that does bum me out though is because of the fact he's a Beast Wars basic, it came out in the 90s, you notice his feet are flat. They did not sculpt them for an A stance. So when he's down like this with his legs straight, his feet are flat. But if you want to spread the legs a bit, now suddenly he's balancing on these kind of curved shapes along the sides there, which means he's got a bit of a wobble. I mean, this doesn't really affect his stability. I do think they should have molded heels in here, because they totally could have. Like, if they had shaped this a little differently, they could have had plastic come out a little further. It would have worked better as heels. They could have just had this peg like further up the leg. But yeah, it's unfortunate. That's the thing that really does kind of bum me out about the robot mode, because I really wish he had like a proper A stance without the whole wobbliness. Because the more you angle the legs out, the more you angle things, like spread the legs out a bit, it makes it so that he just wants to topple forward. That could have been designed a little bit better, but it is an older Beast Wars toy, so I get this is like before a lot of this, certain elements were common, I guess, with Transformers toys. But it would have been nice. I'm still bummed about the tentacles back there. Now, as for the head, it is interesting. It's very mollusk-like, I guess. Not mollusk, invertebrate-like. It's squid-like. I do think the detailing is really nice. It kind of looks almost like an angry squid or octopus with its tentacles curled up around the outside and up, making the little crest right around its face. Very thematically appropriate. And of course, you got the purple and the orange, or the purple and the red working together. Bright yellow for the eyes is really nice. But again, I feel like if that purple contrasted with the red a little bit better, or if it was like more of this orange, I think it would have stuck out a little bit more. But at the same time, in terms of the head, if that was orange, I feel like the yellow for the eyes would get lost. So I guess it is a bit of a trade-off. But still, it's a neat looking head, and I like that it kind of continues the kind of pointy tip of the squid back end motif that it's going. Now, for articulation, the head is on a ball joint, so you can get a bit of tilt. And also look down a little bit and look way up, because that's part of the transformation. And of course, the head can rotate. And rotate all the way around, and there you can see around the back how the ball socket works. So there is the head articulation. These bits can fold back and out of the way or forward. as part of the transformation again, but I'm just going to keep him back and out of the way for now. And I also need to zoom out so you can see what I'm doing. And it's pretty much ball joints all the way down. So the shoulders are ball jointed, so they can go out to there. They can go around, though these bits do get in the way. You get a little bit of butterfly-ish motion. The elbows are on ball joints, so you get what amounts to bicep rotation and about 90 degrees of elbow bend. Because of the nature of the ball joint and the way the arms are molded, the tentacles do kind of the bicep curler thing, but because they're tentacles, it doesn't bother me. He doesn't actually have fists, so this or this looks fine to me, so it doesn't really feel like he's doing the annoying bicep curler thing. These tentacles can hinge up and down independently, or together if you really want to, but they do move in and out, and I like how those cover up the eyes, as I said. Because of the transformation, you also get a waist swivel, which is nice. Then the legs are also on ball joints, so you do get a teeny bit of back and forth wiggle, but they can go forward to 90. They're not going to go back to 90, but they, if you bring them out, they go back surprisingly far. Go out to 90, get ball jointed knees, so the knee can bend to 90, and you can also use that as a pseudo thigh swivel. And the ankles, as you saw, can bend down for transformation. No tilt, which is okay. I just wish they'd cut like an A stance. And this is the thing, because if you look at how it transforms, when the legs are pegged together, the inside of the feet are facing the back of the squid, because for the transformation, you peg all this together, and then you rotate this around. So these are the outsides of the feet. These are the insides. They could have sculpted an A stance in here, and yes, there'd be a gap, but it'd be a little bit of a gap on the back of the squid's cone section. So you wouldn't really notice it that much, and it would have really helped with stability. So I really wish they had done that. But this is a toy from, oh god, like close to 30 years ago now. And yeah, it's fine. It just would have been nice. But yeah, the articulation is pretty good for what it is. And the fact that it uses ball joints for most of the primary joints means that, you don't get that many actual individual joints, but they function. They kind of pull double duty as all the kinds of joints you would really want. So, I don't know. I like that. I know that I guess people like to poo-poo ball joints a lot, but I don't know. I feel like they're a simple and elegant solution in a lot of cases, where you end up with a pretty darn functional articulation with a minimal of parts, which, when you do that, then that means you can put that money somewhere else. It seems like a win-win in my mind. I don't understand why people hate them so much. But regardless, that is it for articulation. Now, we still have to talk about his accessory, because he does have one. It is tucked around the back here. You can see there's this orange bit kind of going through the little comb section in the back. That is his accessory. It actually pegs in back here. Just pop that down, and there it is. It kind of hooks over these bits here, and then pegs in right up here. But pop that out and fold that back down. And his accessory is just more tentacles. It's like a tentacle fork. I don't know. I don't get this, but it pegs into the little peg on one of his tentacle hands. Either one has it, and he can do this. And this is sure is a thing he can do. Yeah. I don't get that accessory at all, but hey, it exists. I think I'm just gonna back this. I don't understand why a squid man that has tentacles for arms would need more tentacles as a weapon. I don't know. Maybe the fiction explains it, but as a toy, it just does not make sense. But anyway, there is Clawjaw in his robot mode, and let's bring up the camera so we can bring in our final round of size comparisons. There it is. Back. There's Artfire and Rotor Storm and Burnout and Samus. And yeah, as I said, he is a basic, and I know people like to say that deluxes are getting smaller and smaller, and I've heard people comment on some deluxes being about the size of a Beast Wars basic. I get that, but that is clearly not the case here. Clawjaw is definitely smaller than the Hi, Astrid. Clawjaw is definitely smaller than Deluxe. And way simpler, too. Not saying that as a knock against Clawjaw, I just think, he's the term basic applies to him in more than one way. But I do appreciate what they're able to accomplish with such a relatively simple design that I really wish they had pushed just a little bit further. It's tentacle wings just not doing it for me as much. But you gonna jump up, Astrid? But yeah, there he is with the duck tank. And that is gonna do it for Beast Wars Clawjaw. As I've said, I actually do really like this guy. You definitely get more personality with the Squid mode, but the robot mode does look cool for what it is. And the transformation, I think, for its part is effective. There are just certain things I wish they had handled a little differently. Like I said, the tentacle wings would have been nice, because I really like how the front tentacles fold down to kind of hide the squid eyes. And also it reveals that suction cup detail on the front. I like that. I just really think it would have been so cool if those were on ball joints and could have folded back and down. It also would have been nice if he had longer heels and had a sculpt base stance. But, it is far too late to go back in time and change that. So, this is what we got. And what we got is fun. It's a fun figure. I definitely think his aftermarket prices are kind of absurd for what you get, but I like having him. I'm glad I have him now. I absolutely would have been thrilled to get him at regular price back in the day, but it is what it is. It also would be nice if he had a bit more of an interesting accessory. Its integration and storage is really nice, but the accessory itself is just why? But anyway, that is it. That's all I've got to say on Beast Wars Clawjaw. What do you all think of this guy? Whatever your thoughts, feel free to chime in down below. I always enjoy hearing from you all. Thank you everybody for watching, and I don't have an outro still, but do you want to say goodbye to everyone, Astrid? Want to say goodbye? She just jawed the microphone while purring. Hopefully that's adequate.